slipped his tings inside of Jamie and started clapping Jamie's cheeks. Jamie was screaming the cell down because he was in so much pain. Jamie was jailed for 34 years in prison. It's a shame because he was only married for a very short period of time. He broke down crying in court after the judge read his sentence, and at that moment he knew his life was truly over. After being sentenced by the judge, the only thing on Jamie's mind was prison and how he would survive. He just thought to himself, I don't have a street bone in my body, so how will a guy like me survive in prison? I really don't want to be someone's prison girlfriend. How would a man like me survive in prison? Why did I do it? Why? Just why? Jamie's family are mega rich, so Jamie lived a very privileged lifestyle. He went to one of the best private schools in the country and also the best university. Jamie pretty much did whatever he wanted whenever he wanted and got whatever he wanted. He never worked a day in his life, nor did he ever want to, because to Jamie working was for peasants and he didn't want any parts of that life. When I told you Jamie's family were mega rich, I wasn't joking, because Jamie's allowance was 800,000 a month. Yes, a month. Paid into his bank account, all from his dad, which he used to splash out on designer clothes, food, cars, watches, expensive holidays and more. Jamie met his wife through his dad's business associate, who said if Jamie and his daughter got married he would merge his company with Jamie's dad's to create an ultra empire. When Jamie's dad showed him the picture of his soon-to-be wife, he wasn't impressed. You see, Jamie was from a traditional family where his mum was a housewife who cooked and cleaned and didn't want to hire maids or babysitters to manage her family. Jamie wanted a woman like that if he was to ever get married, but when his dad showed him Emily's social media profile, she looked pretty. You know, the typical long blonde hair with blue eyes, and worked out in the gym keeping her body in shape, but she was always out partying and smoking with her friends, which Jamie didn't like, as this type of woman wouldn't make a good wife. Jamie told his dad, don't get me wrong dad, she's beautiful and I would smash, but she's not wifey material at all. I bet she can't even cook or want to clean. She looks like one of those modern-day independent bossy women who say I don't need a man. His dad wasn't happy with Jamie's answer, and he said to Jamie, I agree she has her flaws, but look on the bright side, son. Look what it will do for our family. Our family will merge with her family and we will both be one of the most powerful families in the world. Jamie replied saying, Dad, we already are one of the most powerful families in the world. Jamie's dad said, yes, we are, but we will be even stronger, plus if you marry her I'll increase your monthly allowance to 2 million a month. Don't worry, after the wedding I'll get her dad to book her on some cooking classes with the best Michelin star chefs in the world. Once she spends more time with your mum, she will also learn how to clean as well, so what do you say, son? Jamie replied saying, what about the smoking and partying? Jamie's dad said, yes Jamie, all of that will stop too. Feeling more optimistic, Jamie agreed to marry Emily, so it was a done deal. A few months later Jamie and Emily got married. It was a massive wedding full of wealthy elites. The entire wedding costed a staggering 10 million, and that's without counting the rings. Prior to the wedding, Jamie and Emily had never spent time with each other alone. They only saw each other when their dads met up with each other to discuss wedding arrangements and business. After the wedding, Jamie and Emily went on their honeymoon. They went to the Maldives and it was the first time they spent time alone. Jamie soon realized he was very different than Emily. Although Jamie and Emily both went to private schools, Emily was a rebel who did drugs and did everything she could to hang around with street guys. Emily never respected Jamie at all and wouldn't stop calling him a lame. Jamie, not wanting to upset his dad, he kept quiet and kept his cool and never said anything. After Jamie spent the day with Emily, they went back to the hotel room where Jamie tried to kiss Emily, but Emily quickly moved her head, saying, "Get away from me, you lame. Don't touch me. You make me feel sick even looking at you. I only married you because my dad said he will increase my allowance, which I can then use to grow my beauty business even more. If you want something to eat, Jamie, you have 2 hands, so you will have to go and make it yourself." Jamie was now shocked and said to Emily, "Business? Business? So you are not going to stay home and be a housewife doing the cooking and cleaning?" Emily replied, laughing, saying, "Are you crazy? I'm a boss chick. There's no way I'm cooking and cleaning for any man. You, on the other hand, will be cooking and cleaning for me. I am not your maid or slave, so I will not be cooking a thing for you. My life is about partying, traveling the world and having fun." Jamie then felt a sudden rage of anger because he now knew his dad was wrong and Emily would never be anything like his mum. She would never be the wife he truly wanted, so he snapped, and then it happened and now he is in prison. After spending his first year in prison, Jamie was actually settling into prison fine. Although Jamie's wing was full of beauty bandits, they never touched him at all. He made loads of friends on his wing and he was a very popular guy. The other inmates would laugh at how posh he sounded and would call him Posh Boy. Now I bet you're wondering how a posh boy like Jamie could survive this long in prison without getting his cheeks clapped. The reason why is because everyone in the prison thought he was an undercover police officer. You see, Jamie didn't fit the criminal stereotype at all. He was 5'9" with a slim build and a posh accent, so no one thought a guy like this could really be in prison for anything. The inmates would make jokes at lunch saying, "Jamie, just admit you're a cop and just tell us the truth." Every time Jamie would say he wasn't a cop, someone would always find an excuse to say he was a cop because he breathed too hard when he said no, or he blinked too much while he said no he wasn't, so he must be lying to us, so we still believe he is a cop, and the story just carried on and on. One day after Jamie had breakfast, a guard came to his cell and told him he is moving prison and being shipped out tomorrow. Jamie felt gutted because he was leaving his friends behind, but was also looking forward to going to another prison as it would be a new experience. A few weeks later, after Jamie moved on to his new wing, he found this new prison was very different to the last prison he was in, because everywhere he went guys would try to touch his booty. Every day he would get men trying to make advances at him, so he spent a lot of time in his cell all alone and bored. A few weeks later, Jamie was going back to his cell and an Irish guy called Paddy bumped into him by mistake, which Paddy apologized and said, "Sorry my friend, my name is Paddy." Paddy's brother also came over and said, "Hello my friend, my name is Connor." Jamie was feeling scared because he knew who these guys were. These guys were not just some normal Irish guys. They were Irish travelers. Posh guys like Jamie heard stories about Irish travellers but never actually spoke to any in real life because they were both from two different worlds. So when Paddy and Connor started talking to him, Jamie was in fear of his life. Paddy and Connor now spotted the fear in Jamie's eyes and asked if he wanted to buy their games console. Jamie, not knowing what to do, he just said yes to their offer. He then thought to himself, why did I just say yes? He then walked back to Connor and Paddy's cell to see the game's console. Once they got to the cell, they showed it to him and got him to test it to prove it does in fact work. Jamie was still scared of the two Irish guys while they told him just give us 10 noodles and 10 tunas for the game's console, which Jamie agreed. Once Jamie got back to his cell, he thought to himself, I finally got away from them traveller losers. He quickly checked his pockets just to make sure nothing was missing as he was so scared. He thought to himself, these traveller guys are actually okay because they could have just turned me out in their cell if they really wanted to, but they didn't, so he just grabbed 10 noodles and 10 tunas and gave them to Paddy and Connor and took the game's console back to his cell to play. Connor told him not to open it until he gets back into his cell as it might fall out and break on the wing. As soon as he got back to his cell and opened the sheets, he was shocked by what he saw. In the bed sheets were 2 broken plastic kettles taped together along with 5 potatoes. Jamie had been conned by Paddy and Connor and he was furious. He was even more upset because he didn't have much money on his canteen, so he really needed those noodles and tunas. After going to prison, Jamie's father disowned him, so money was really scarce and he needed to save as much as he could. With Jamie's blood boiling, he put the 2 broken kettles along with the potatoes back into the bed sheets and marched back into Paddy and Connor's cell. He pushed the door open only to see both guys sitting on their beds while having a feast of his tuna and noodles. Jamie was so angry and put the sheet on the floor and unwrapped it, saying, you 2 traveller guys scammed me, so give me my noodles and tuna back right now. Paddy walked past Jamie and closed the cell door so it was locked and said to Jamie, who do you think you are talking to, you posh little weasel, as he squared up to Jamie. You better lower the bass in your voice right now, lad. Jamie now realized he was in the cell with 2 Irish travellers and the cell door was locked, and that's when Connor said, Paddy, we need to teach this woman a lesson, as he unzipped his trousers. What's she doing coming into our cell like this, calling us liars? Paddy said, yeah. You need to be taught a lesson, as he unzipped his trousers too. At that moment Jamie realized he was in big trouble, so he said, okay guys, you know what, you can keep the noodles and tuna and I will buy more, so don't worry about it. No hard feelings, okay guys? Also, after thinking about it again, I can admit to you I was wrong. You did sell me the correct console. How stupid of me, so let's just leave it here, okay? You can just let me go and I won't mention this ever again. Connor and Paddy looked at each other and started laughing. Paddy then said to Jamie, we set this whole thing up. We always were gonna rob you, but we couldn't be bothered to carry all those tunas and noodles back to our cell, so we put together a plan so you could bring them to us. Remember how we met and I bumped into you by mistake? Well, guess what, it was no mistake. Also, I would like to say thanks for bringing the potatoes back, as we will need these again for our next victim. Now be a good woman and come over here to Paddy, your new daddy, and give me a kiss. Jamie ran to the door, banging the door saying, help me, I'm trapped in this cell. Help. Someone please help me." He also rang the buzzer for a guard to help, and that's when Paddy grabbed him and slapped him, saying, "Shut up woman, you're making too much noise." He then threw Jamie on the bed. Paddy then said to Connor, "I'm going first and I'm going to enjoy this." Jamie shouted, "No. Please get away from me and let me go," but Paddy just kept on walking closer until he got to the bed. Connor ran over and turned Jamie around and then sat on his back while holding his hands so he couldn't move. Jamie's knees were on the floor while Connor was sitting on his back. Paddy then got on his knees too and took his trousers and boxers off and said, "I've never turned out a posh boy before." "Well, I guess there's a first time for everything." Jamie screamed, "No, don't do this Paddy, leave me alone, no, just no." And that's when Paddy slipped his tings inside of Jamie and started clapping Jamie's cheeks. Jamie was screaming the cell down because he was in so much pain. Paddy just laughed while he continued to clap Jamie's cheeks. Paddy said, "I love it when you scream, Jamie. Sing for me. Hit the highest note you can." He then continued to clap Jamie's cheeks for half an hour until he busted the biggest load of cream pie inside of Jamie. Jamie was super sore down below and had never felt so much pain in his life, but that's when the guard came and lifted the flap and said, "Did someone ring the buzzer?" Paddy was out of breath but said, "It was this girl Jamie. She tried to call you to stop us busting her cheeks." The guard then shouted at Jamie saying, "I keep telling you newbies to stop calling me for nonsense. I'm not going to stop your cheeks getting busted, as this is your job, not mine. If you don't want your cheeks to get busted, then don't come to prison." The guard said to Paddy and Connor, "She's all yours for the night. I'll mark her on my sheet as being in her cell." Paddy and Connor thanked the guard as the guard closed the door flap and walked off. Connor then jumped off Jamie's back, and that's when Jamie said, "Guys, you've turned me out. You got what you wanted. You won. So can I just go back to my cell now, please?" Connor said, "No. Paddy busted your cheeks, so that means I can do it too, and I'm roasting, so you ain't going anywhere, woman." Jamie begged Connor and said, "Please no, Connor, I'm sore. It hurts." And that's when Paddy slapped Jamie and said, "Girl, you listen to us. We are your new bosses now. The word no doesn't exist for you anymore. You belong to us now, you little posh boy, and you don't have a choice. Whenever we want it, we will take it, and my little brother Connor is roasting and wants it now, so you need to give him some to keep him happy." And that's when Paddy jumped on Jamie's back. Connor then took off his trousers and boxers and then slammed his tings into Jamie. Connor held no hostages and pounded Jamie's cheeks like there was no tomorrow. He went for 20 minutes before forcing Jamie to open his mouth, and that's where he cream-pied Jamie, all over his face and in his mouth. After both brothers finished, Paddy then said to Jamie, "We are going to bed now, and you are sleeping in my bed today, and tomorrow you will sleep with Connor in his bed. You now belong to both of us." Jamie then got into Paddy's bed with his back to him. Paddy then put the cover over Jamie and then put his arm around him, cuddling him while he started to fall asleep, and then whispered in Jamie's ear saying, "I'll be roasting again in a few hours, so be ready for some more deep pounding, because I will be clapping your cheeks again when I wake up, and if you're still asleep I'll just clap your cheeks while you're sleeping. Good night, my love." Jamie just laid there and he was traumatized while thinking to himself, "Why did I marry Emily? She was never the right woman for me. My life could have been so much different. I could have achieved more." With tears falling from Jamie's face, he thought to himself, "I can't believe I just got turned out in prison.